What is up, sports fans? We are back for another episode of The Fan in the End. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. To the right of me, the big man himself, Mr. Ben Troupe. And the man on the bottom, the man on the mic himself, Mr. Marvin Powell III. Fellas, how are we feeling today?
It's all good. Ready to talk some football. Ready to talk former New York Jet.
Facts. Football is here. Football
is here. We are within 20 days. We're less than 2 weeks away for kickoff of pro football season. Obviously, a little bit shorter than that for college football. Lots of stuff to talk about on all aspects of professional sports right now, because it's just that crazy time of year. It really is. There's just something in the air. But I've been meaning to get this one for the last few weeks, so I wanted to kick it off with this one, right? We always be talking about the Hall of Fame on here, right? So I want to know, who do you feel is the biggest Hall of Fame stub in sports history? It doesn't have to be football. Just somebody you think that regardless of, off the field negativity, on the field greatness, on the court greatness, whatever, you feel that they should have already been in. I know we all have our favorites when it comes to this, regardless if we're talking football, baseball, basketball, etc. But I'm gonna start it off with Ben on this one, because we this is a topic we do talk about as far as who we should get in.
My bad.
But who's your biggest Hall of Fame snub, Marvin? Or Ben, I'm sorry.
That's it. I mean, Barry Bonds. I mean, it ain't even. I must keep saying this. Until Barry Bonds goes to the Hall of Fame, I don't want to hear about the MLB, right? But I mean, and I know it's gonna sound cliche. I mean, the biggest snub be a person like Marvin Powell. I'm gonna tell you. Listen, this is why, right? This is why. Everybody was like, Roger Craig got voted. Roger Craig was a pioneer. Like, there is no LaDainian, there is no Christian McKee, you know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we think the biggest snub is a big name. No, the biggest snub is not the big name. That is not a snub. That's just somebody being a jerk or a clown, not putting that person. That's clown behavior. No, the Marvin Powells of the world are the biggest snub, because just because you do not know him doesn't mean he wasn't him. That is a snub. A snub is when somebody go, oh, okay, I think I know who you gonna say, Steven, and I think he played for the Eagles, because you always say him, right? And you consistent with that. A snub to me is not a guy who was really, really good, who you think should have been in. A snub is somebody who you go and look at it, you go, God dang, I didn't know he was like that. Yeah, he was. Just because I didn't know that he was him doesn't mean he wasn't him. He was him. He really, really was. But yeah, Barry Bonds is an easy one, but I think the Marvin Powells of the world opens the floodgates, because and here's the biggest snub. How many people can get in each year? What is a set number? Oh, we can only do 5. We can only do 3. No, let it be 10 to get people in, because you know what it is, Marvin, Steven. The longer it takes certain people to get in, that line is getting longer. Oh, there go Eli Manning in the line now. Oh, there go Phillip Rivers in the line now. So, but to me, it's always going to be Barry Bonds. But Marvin Powell Sr., to me, is the one or the second. However you say your pop's name, Marv, I believe he's the biggest snub, because Netflix just waiting for him to get in, because they're going to say, all right, now that he's getting in, now let's do that Netflix special. Now they show, it's like this, certain guys meant something different to the league, because people don't even know your dad's contribution to the league, not just the game. The league is away from football. The game is on the field. And I believe your dad meant so much to the game, right? So, I mean, like a Gene Upshaw. You know what I'm saying? Like those type of guys. So my biggest star to me is Marvin Powell, because like I say, the more I ain't tell you this, Marv, but a homie of mine, Max Starks or whatever, his dad played for Notre Dame. I never met his dad. Dad is a college football Hall of Famer. When I told him, I said, yeah, man, you ever heard of Marvin Powell? He said, from SC? He's like, yeah. He's like, what? He looking at me like, you don't? No, I know. He was like, yeah. And I said, you know, he in the hall, right? And he was like, he ain't in the hall? Because sometimes people think you already in. They go, he's not? So, yeah. Because I'm realizing what snubs really are now. Because nowadays with the Pro Bowl, you could be the 15th alternate and get to go. That's why Shedeur Sanders got to go. I love Shedeur. Shedeur is not a Hall of Fame in 2025. He got to go, and I'm not mad at him. Hall of Famers are guys that you either say yep or you have to say, dang, that dude is nice, man. Yep. So, Marvin Powell, and like I said, Barry Bonds, until Barry Bonds is in, the MLB Hall of Fame is a joke. It is the biggest joke there is. What are we talking about? And I don't know if we're gonna get to it, but I've been watching your Phillies, Steven. I don't know what's going on. Y'all need to calm down. Y'all getting on my nerves. And Schwarber's really getting on my nerves. He's really getting on my nerves.
About a month ago, y'all thought it was going to be easy. Next thing you know,
I told you, y'all ain't the Mets. Y'all are not the Mets. If it's the Phils or the Nationals, I don't say anything. If it's the Mets, it'll take to the last week of the season, and they'll Met. So,
what about you, Marvin? Who's your biggest Hall of Fame snub? I know Ben's hyping up the family tree there, but
hey, it's no hype. First of all, Ben, I appreciate all the kind words toward my family. To give our viewers some context to that, my father, Marvin Powell Jr., former first-round draft pick to the New York Jets. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was a 4-time All-Pro player, 3 times being first-team All-Pro. He was the first offensive tackle to ever be named MVP of the team. In his second contract, he became the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. And he is in the College Football Hall of Fame. And he was a senior finalist this past season. In regards to just and then in 1981, when Seagram 7 were giving out their Position of the Year trophy, he was the #1 offensive lineman in the NFL. His comp in regards to Pro Bowls at 5 and first-team All-Pros at 3 is current Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, and he was the president of the NFL Players Association that led to striking 87, working toward getting benefits for the players, which benefits in free agency was what he fought for, which they ultimately got. So yeah, his contributions were tremendous. And, I do believe, like Ben, that he belongs in there. And again, just thank you for Ben, because you're somebody who had a relevant career. You have a voice and you have many platforms. So I thank you for that. A player who I would say whose last name is not Powell would probably be Pete Rose. You talk about a crime. You forgot. You talk about a crime. It is. You shouldn't even have a Hall of Fame if Pete Rose ain't in it. Okay. For youngsters, now listen, when I was a young kid living in New York, this is before Derek Jeter got there. The Yankees was suffering. That was my squad. You know what I'm saying? We were suffering. But this, I saw the end of Pete Rose's career. You know what I mean? I saw him transition into management. Then I saw him get taken down because he bet on his team to win. You know what I'm saying? He bet on his team to win. And, I think he retired the all-time leading hitter. He has a place in the record book that he'll have probably forever. Multiple places, and just from what I remember as a kid, from what I remember with his stats, it is a travesty. Barry Bonds too, for sure, but it is absolutely disgusting that y'all have a Hall of Fame of people in there, and Pete Rose ain't one of them. That's silly to me.
I agree, and I'm listen. We're going to continue to trash the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame on this segment here. And Ben, you're right. I will continue to push for Seth Joyner because he's got as comparable numbers as some of the best middle linebackers that are already in there. But as I said, this is going to continue to bash on the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. You each had your one. Ben's sitting there saying, "Barry."
Well, I got 3, and I forgot, and I apologize for that. Marvin Powell was always being there. Barry Bonds and Fred Taylor, man. Fred Taylor is the greatest Jacksonville Jaguar ever. I love Tony Baselli. love to sell it. But I am telling you, sometimes, right, it ain't gonna always be the way everybody. When people say, "Why you always saying Seth Joyner?" See, go look at the numbers, bro. Go look. No, listen, numbers are part of it. That's a part of it. How you played is the other part. And the third part is ask the people who played against. What? Ask them. Because people say that kind of stuff don't matter. So why we got the top 100 now? If that don't matter, why don't we got the top 100? Why is that important? Because it's voted on by the players. Yeah, so and like I say, as a when people say, "Well, Ben, you only saying this because you ain't good enough to be in the Hall of Fame." No, Mitch, I'm supposed to say this. Like I ain't got no. I know y'all don't get. Listen, I went back to the doctor again, and they said, "Mr. Troupe, yeah, your results came back in again. No hate in me." They checked the blood, baby. Hate for what? You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to say, "Hey, not if." When Marvin Powell goes in, Marv, I hope you got a cameraman. I hope you got a Kleenex endorsement. Because then, Marv, I don't know how I go, but I guess when the Hall of Fame inductee is deceased, you have to go through it for him. I'm guessing that's how it. So you got to sit there and listen to all these players talk about your dad. Like, yeah, he was all that. I'm just. Hey man, I want that for you because sometimes, like I say, you remind me of Jared Payton. And Jared said, "Troupe, I just wish I fully understood who my dad." Like I knew my daddy was him, but I didn't know he was him. Like I didn't know. And now he was like, "Dude." I said, "Yeah, dude." He let me call him. I get to call him Walter's boy. You know what I'm saying? Because I know him. I said, "You Walter's boy." And he said, "I didn't realize how much you was really bigging me up." I said, "Yeah, man." I said, "Cause you spoiled as hell. Like you had Michael Jordan BMW. Like, could you take the 2 off and put a 3 on? Cause he wore number 33." And I said, "Dude, you took the 2 off the back." He like, "Yeah, man, I wore number 33. You spoiled as all get out. That ain't gonna hurt you to keep that 2 on there." But you know, hey man, if you grew up in Michael Jordan's compound, what else is there? You know what I'm saying? Hey, they call it down. Hey, Mike, is Jared down there? Yeah, could you send him home, please? Yeah, we'll send him home on the helicopter. All right. You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy, but it's all good. It's all good.
And I'll say it like this. Guys like Roger Clemens, Kurt Schilling, these are guys that shouldn't end. I love both Kurt's and Roger's outlook on it. Like they don't feel like they need the Hall of Fame to legitimize what they did. They know where they are. They know where they stand. And I think those are 2 guys from that era that were absolutely amazing. Had lockdown, shutdown, pitching performances both in the regular season, in the postseason. Obviously, I think Schilling's a little bit more known for the postseason with the Red Sox, with the bloody side, and that whole nonsense. But yeah, it's bad when we can sit there and just all 3 of us we're just bagging on and it's not like we're bagging on them. It's just like we know it's ridiculous that you keep these guys out, and we know how hard it is to get in. So we'll always push for the players that deserve to be there, and just it's unfortunate that we have to sit on here on these podcasts and on our soapboxes on social media and have these conversations when the common sense committee that we are here on the South Florida Tribune, we all know where they belong. It's just I hope it's not a situation where it's where Marvin's at, where he's gonna have to go up there for his father. It's going to be unfortunate when Pete Rose does get in and his family members have to be up there instead of Pete. Pete was the best pure hitter in baseball that we've ever had the chance to witness in our lifetime, right? To the point where when he was on, MLB Network and stuff like that, they're doing those things with the guys on there, and he's sitting there, showing like little things from hitting with Frank Thomas, with Alex Rodriguez, and they're just being blown away by a guy just with his knowledge. When you see stuff like that, that's why I completely agree with Marvin that Pete Rose should be there. it's a shame that the MLB waited till after he's no longer with us to kind of remove him from the ban list to even be on there. The hilarity even more behind it is, we just watched the whole, Field of Dream games that Major League Baseball had, right? And that's a whole thing about Shoeless Joe Jackson, right? Well, the outfield walls are plastered with what? With betting agencies' names plastered all over it. So the hypocrisy in Major League Baseball is knows no bounds in my opinion. But don't want to dwell on this too long. Hell, we could probably do a whole show on this, just breaking down some of the guys and girls who belong to be in there and all that. But we got a lot of other stuff to kind of get to. And again, another one I want to talk about last week. I don't know if you've seen it, but Slay's gonna be a CBS analyst on this upcoming season. We've seen him do great things here in Philadelphia and Detroit. Obviously, last year with Pittsburgh, rounding out his 13 seasons. Ben, do you see him doing this long term, or do you see him kind of fading into coaching at some point in time over the next few years? Because you already hear about how the kids here in Philly basically think of him as another coach, right? When we're talking about this, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and them guys. But do you think that Slay will be at CBS doing analysis for more than a season?
If CBS is smart, he will, because he's a personality, right? He's a guy that worth listening to. Anytime, and TV isn't for everybody. I think that a guy like Slay is. I think he's built for it, because I think hopefully when he's doing his negotiations, they telling him, man, we want you to be yourself. Like, we don't want you to try to sound like anybody else. Not saying he can and will, but yeah, I mean, I think Slay is a guy that's built for it. And here's the thing, right? These are still very, very prestigious opportunities. Like, everybody, people say, oh, you just going to the booth. Everybody can't do that. Like, everybody can't just go in the booth and talk the game. Slay has really boosted his reputation by doing podcasts. He's very, very relatable. He's a down-to-earth dude that was just a beast on the field. Like, he's a guy that, whenever you can paint pictures with your words, which is all analytics is, you got to be able to paint pictures with it. I think he does a good job of it. And like I say, Slay is always going to hold a different level of respect in my heart. But when he was going through his contract negotiations, I was living in Brunswick at the time, and he's from there. And you would think that most guys trying to get their money, they locked in, man. He was out there with my kids, do like a little soccer camp. My kids was wearing his behind out there, man. And I appreciate that no matter how big he got, he remained level-headed, man. He never, ever let the fame change him. And I appreciate it. I mean, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, is out there. And I knew Drew. Drew was a guy that really, really recruited me heavy when I was coming out of college. And I think the thing about Slay is Slay gonna let you know how good analytics can be when you add the theatrics to it. When you say that, because a lot of those guys he played against, especially the receivers. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I'm happy for him. It's something about these former Eagles, man. They got race car. They in racing now. They got T, and now they're doing But yeah, I'm happy for Slay. I think sometimes if I'm Slay though, I reach out to a Richard Sherman and say, hey man, because no matter what position you play, they want you to tell the game from your vantage point. Defense and being on the island, being a lockdown corner, being a guy that can take away a team's other receiver, schemes and different things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm happy for Slay, man. And like I said, everybody, it used to be players leave, they stop playing, they go into coaching. Now, front office, ownership, going into the booth. I just tell Slay, man, stay away from them weddings, man. Stay away from that alcohol, man. Because if you get pulled over, that ain't. I'm just saying, hey man, you a public. I believe for Slay, it's gonna make him bigger than when he was a player, which is what it's supposed to do, right? You're supposed to be a bigger name because, like I say, I mean, I've had plenty of days of arguing with my kids. Like, Michael Strahan did not play football. They're like, yes, he did. LL Cool J he's not a rapper. Yes, he is. You just never saw. Ice Cube is not a rapper. Yes, he is. You talking about the guy that did these? You talking about the guy that did Friday? Yes, but he's been doing this so long. You know what I'm saying? So, hey man, shout out to Big Play Slay, country boy man from the coast of Georgia, doing big things. Man, I always happy for that young.
Yeah. What do you think, Marvin? You think good move by Slay, but do you think he's going to be at CBS doing pregame color commentary type stuff, or do you think he's gonna quick pivot to coaching at some point in time over the next few years?
If he did the coaching, it probably wouldn't be in the NFL just because of the schedule and the reality of what that life really is. Those guys get paid. There's some money there, but I would believe that in his career, he got a pretty nice bag. I think that the doing the podcast and doing the CBS thing, I think that's really the move that makes sense. Even though that is work, it's not like coaching. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation in coaching. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I could see him doing the Deshaun Jackson thing. Because that's more really just truly giving back. You know what I'm saying? When you at the HBCU and the smaller schools, you in it just to impact kids. You ain't doing that for the money. You know what I'm saying? And he's probably, as I said, just based on his career, he's probably done enough to be able to really decide and pick and choose how he wants to retire. I think that the microphone is probably the easiest transition that makes sense. He's a bright guy, well versed. I think he would do well in that space. I see him doing well at that space. I see him excelling in that and making money, with these podcasts and doing these interviews with CBS, like many have gone to do. So, yeah, good move for him. I've heard of him in interviews. I mean, like I said, I think he's comfortable in front of a microphone, and obviously his perspective as a player, as one of the great players of his day, is one that'll be appreciated by fans and viewers of CBS. So good move. Congratulations. And, he's on his way.
Yeah. Happy for him, but I agree. If he does pivot to coaching, it probably would be HBCU, especially when you see what Lincoln Financial Field is doing, having an annual game with both Delaware State and Norfolk State, having Deshaun and Mike Vick in there. The fact that they're bringing more HBCU games to Lincoln Financial Field this coming season. I know they said they're doing one or two more outside of that one, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it, like you said, if he does pivot to go that way, especially with already having that relationship with Jeffrey Lowery and all that. So we'll see how it all goes, but I think he will shine in his role wherever he goes with CBS, and let's see what the future holds for him, because as you'd already said, smart guy, very comfortable behind the mic, knows what he's talking about, so just don't call him the D word. Make sure it's Big Play Slayer Slay, because he gonna let you know real quick.
Hey man, he earned the nickname. He definitely earned the nickname, Big Play Slay. I mean, if your welcome to the NFL moment, it's Megatron. Yeah, you hey man, you've earned that big play, sir. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who you got every day? I got Megatron every day at practice. Yeah, crazy.
Now we're gonna go to Cleveland, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start off with not the good, but something we've all seen coming. Obviously, Nick Chubb, decided he's gonna hang it up. Obviously, he's got two of the more horrific leg injuries that we've ever seen in pro sports.
You got to put up a warning when you put that up there. Lord,
I gotta say though, let me ask you guys this: if he doesn't have those two serious injuries, one in college, one in pro, that he's probably on an NFL roster right now, given some defensive coordinators, night sweats. If I think it's 100%. just the decline in his physical ability to be able to do the grind of an NFL season is why he retired this offseason. But Nick Chubb is definitely not somebody could just easily shake off and forget. I think Cleveland's going to have a hard time replacing him. They've had a hard time replacing him as to date, considering the fact that they got a lot of stuff to worry about over there. But definitely looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Nick. Marvin, your thoughts on the retirement, and do you think if he doesn't have those injuries that we're still seeing him on a roster this season?
Yeah, Chubb was one of the best college running backs of his day when he came out of Georgia. When he was healthy in the NFL, he was one of the better running backs in the NFL. He's played at a high level at every level. The only thing that slowed him down and stopped him was injury. The human body wasn't made for football, man. And the fact that he was able to overcome so many serious injuries and come back strong and not just play in the NFL, play 8 years in the NFL. Okay, that's a long time, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like when the average dude like me after 3 years is out, you know what I'm saying? So, thank God for sports science, because if he had played in the 60s and the 70s, he went to the mid this far, man. But nowadays, you tear your ACL, your MCL, what used to be considered, I blew my knee out. Now they can fix that and you back in 6 to 9 months. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, that's just the value of living in the future in present day. And but no, he absolutely would be on a roster. That boy ran hard. He was an old school back. He ran. He was an old school player. He's 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of dude. And I enjoyed. I had a true appreciation for physicality, the way he played, the way he finished runs. That kind of stuff means something to a blocking fullback like me. So man, congratulations on a great career, college and pro. Congratulations on making it to being a vested retired player in the NFL. I believe he's already in the Georgia Hall of Fame, or he was just listed as one of the top 100 dogs. Something. He's already been listed at Georgia as being a Hall of Fame within the University of Georgia. Put it like that. But no, he was a dog for real. And again, I'll miss watching him play.
Ben.
Yeah, Nick Chubb. There's so many great things to say about this younger man. I think his family got like Chubb County, like in the state of Georgia, like what his family meant to the state of Georgia. Went to the University of Georgia. At one point, he killed. Him retiring, he brought a lot of things to an end. At one point, it was Ty Gurley, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and DeAndre Swift. That was their first, second, third, and fourth back. And then it was Nick, Sony, and DeAndre, and Nick Chubb. I'm never gonna say any one of them was better than Ty Gurley for what he was able to do. But Nick Chubb, if he never gets hurt, you can double them numbers. He gonna be 13,000, 14,000 yards, because the fact that he still, I thought that when he did what he did in Tennessee in college, I thought his career was over. I'm like, dang, man, came back. Then it happened in the league, came back. And Nick Chubb is the reason why you enjoy football, man. Certain guys, they just built different. These guys are guys like Nick Chubb and another Georgia Bulldog that had 3 straight ACL, Thomas Davis, that played for Carolina. I don't know what it is about them Georgia football, them dogs, man. They gonna definitely give it all they got. But Nick Chubb, man, he was an incredible player. And I think for Nick Chubb, he went to a place in Cleveland where all they had on offense. They didn't have much else. And if he would have had any type of help, who knows how long his career would have been prolonged. But to retire and be acknowledged by people you never met, I think that's something else, man. That's a high level of respect. Because there are a lot of guys that retire on social media. No one says a word. Like, you still play? You play in the NFL? You? Nick Chubb, it was like, oh, man, he gone. So, he will be missed. I know that AFC North happy he gone, because he used to give that AFC North fits. The Ravens, line them up. You know what I'm saying? Pittsburgh, line them up. Cincinnati, line them up. But no, Nick Chubb and his career at Georgia, being a second-round pick, having the career he had, yeah, man. If he ain't in the University of Georgia Ring of Honor, he should be. And I'm just happy that, what I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him, because I think he ended his career at the Rose Bowl. They lost that national championship, but the greatest Rose Bowl is obviously, and I know Marv don't like it, Texas and freaking, SC. But number two,
you keep picking that scab every week, man. He's going to find something to come back at you.
I hate when people say that was a great game. I was there. I hate when people say it was such a great game. It was such a great game for college football. No, it wasn't. No, it was not. It was one of the most horrific. Listen, I cussed the lady out in that stadium, and I'm still ashamed of that. I was wrong for that. No, because that's not who I am. I don't do disrespect. But I was very emotional after that game. The lady went up to me and did that, and I said something to her that I shouldn't have said. It was wrong. I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying, because listen, I'm 28-3, no matter what. People like, he talking about comebacks, man. No, I'm saying Nick Chubb got his moment in college in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, you know what I'm saying, and company. And Andrews and those guys. So, yeah, man, I'm happy for him because his family and his family lineage in the state of Georgia should be documented, man. It's serious, like what his family meant to that part of that little patch of Georgia that they from, Chubb County. And I'm happy for that youngin', man. I mean, because like I say, I'm just going back to that Tennessee game. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, no, that's it. It's almost like when it looked real similar to like, when Sterling Sharp injury. It was nasty. But he came back. And like I say, when people want to know how much football means to a football player, look up guys like Nick Chubb. Look up guys like Ronnie Lott, cut his finger off, thumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like, why would you do that? Because this opportunity, this is who I am, bro. A football player look at it like this. I'm a player till I say I'm not. I know the game might pass me by. No, I'm a player till I say I'm not. And when you retire, retirement is the only time a player will take himself out. Players don't take themselves out. That's why they don't like getting hurt. So when people go, how would you compare a football player with Kobe tore his Achilles and he still walked to the free throw line? And that's how football players are. Hey, bro, let me walk off this field. I hate that freaking cart. I don't want to get tripped. If you put me on the cart, that means I can't walk. So with Nick Chubb, he said, hey, man. So when people say, why won't Cam Newton retire? Because Marvin, no, you never really retire. You got to move on. You got to go. But in your mind, oh, man, you get a guy fresh out. He's still in his early 30s, late 20s. He said, I can still give you a couple of them now. I can still get at somebody. But then you go, and then once you get in your late 30s, early 40s, early 50s, early 60s, you start saying, yeah, that's it. I mean, I hurt myself getting out of bed this morning. I don't know what I did. I might have moved too fast. I don't know. But congratulations, Nick Chubb, man. You had a hell of a career, sir. Looking forward to, just like a Darius Slay, looking forward to seeing what's next for him.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing next. And now, as far as Cleveland go, let's get into the bad and the ugly, right? Because, Cleveland did themselves a whole lot of disservice this weekend. It all revolves around Mr. Watson. Deshaun Watson, before they announced that he was the starting quarterback, hopped up, started the preseason game, looked terrible out there, and, went to do the post interview thing and basically saying he didn't like the fact that he was being booed. And, his comments was, I think the whole world knows it has nothing to do with performance, a little bit more personal than that, but I think it's a disrespectful thing. That's not the thing you want to do after a bad performance, regardless if you think it's about the performance or about some of the stuff that you've been involved in that's kept you off the field for the better part of the last 2 years, right? So so then the Cleveland Browns compound the whole thing by announcing that he's going to be the week 1 start, right? Over Shedeur Sanders, over Dylan Gabriel. I get they have a lot of money tied up to that. I just think after that press conference that there's no way that I would have named him my starter. I don't care management wise, whatever. There's no way that I would have had that's the guy that's going to lead our team into the 2027 season. No, I don't think so. Cleveland's in a lot of problems. We already know that. They need systemic help from top to bottom. Marvin, what are your thoughts on this? One, Deshaun's comments after the terrible preseason performance game, and then Cleveland turning around 3 days later and announcing him as the Week 1 starter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I saw the press conference. I saw it, and when I was watching it, I couldn't believe I was seeing what I was seeing, because that's what a meltdown looks like. Okay, that was a complete meltdown, and I hate it for Deshaun, because while I do think he got a little railroaded, and I won't get into the whole legal thing. Everybody knows what happened and has their perspective or has their thoughts on right or wrong, whatever it may be. But I think he just didn't handle it well, and I don't think he really understands accountability or like leadership. I don't think he understands the opportunity that you have when you're in front of that microphone to show remorse, to show accountability, to show growth. The biggest thing is to show gratitude, because you went through hell and you came out of it with a huge contract and a job. You know what I'm saying? And I just think he's missing it. You know what I'm saying? He's missing the opportunity to make amends and to show people, what redemption and remorse, what that kind of looks like from a leadership perspective. And I think he's up there playing too much of the victim game, to be honest with you. Again, especially considering after what happened, he still got a huge contract and a job. Okay. So I wasn't shocked that Cleveland made him the starter, because they got all that money in him. I get that perspective. Like, dude, we gave this dude $230 million. He gonna give me something. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get something out of it. You know what I'm saying? I think Shador is absolutely much more of the future. I don't know if he's the future at Cleveland, but I think he's the guy based upon play, what I saw in the preseason, based on what he did last season as a rookie playing with that horrible team. I think he's a guy that you invest in a little bit more time-wise. But again, I understand why they're starting Deshaun. They put so much money into him. I get that. From Deshaun's perspective, look, his teammates, football players, are taught to have tunnel vision and to focus and to leave the outside stuff on the outside. Honestly, I think he'll be fine with his teammates and everybody else. They all get it from the human side. And again, they're taught to focus. The fans, he ain't lying. Them fans will set you on fire. You know what I'm saying? If they want to, they don't have no mercy. They don't care about you or your family. They don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? They just don't. Booing him when he got injured, that's cold, y'all. That's cold. You know what I mean? And it is. That's cold. That's cold, man. It really is.
That's Cleveland for you. That's Cleveland for you.
So, yeah, man. I think that the presser was a bad moment for Deshaun. I think he still has some growing to do. All he's really showing me is that he's a human being. You know what I'm saying? All he's showing me that he is hurt by what happened, but I think he's showing the wrong stuff. I think he needs to do a better job of getting control of his emotions. And he should be, at this point, honestly, he should have a script for all this. Considering what he went through, his PR team, his lawyer, his agent, he should have a much better response to this. He should already know that you got a lot of people who are going to feel some kind of way forever. And you got to know how to deal with that forever. So I really question a lot, of what's around him, who he's listening to. Does he really understand how that whole situation was perceived? You know what I'm saying? By a lot of people. While one aspect of our culture might understand that, yeah, when you go to these places, this is what they do. When you go to these places, there's money and whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? But there's another part of our American and world culture that they don't get that. They don't agree with that. You will forever be looked at as wrong, period. Okay. Because your private life just came out in the public and people, and it looks bad, even though to some people it may be, and I quote, normal. To a lot of people, it's bad. So yeah, man, it's just right now for a guy who should have so much gratitude. I just feel like he's dropping the ball and ain't throwing it good either. That's my take.
Ben, your thoughts on the press conference and the announcement that Deshaun Watson's Cleveland's Week 1 starter?
Deshaun Watson been away from the game too long to not be prepared to deal with the booze that come with it, right? Cleveland, the worst thing could have happened to Deshaun Watson was Shedeur, because as long as the alternative isn't better than you, they're gonna pick you. They got options now. Dylan Gabriel still plays for Cleveland. No one even talks about Dylan Gabriel. But the thing about Deshaun Watson that I'll never understand is this. Man, booing is a part of it. Criticism is a part of it. You got a fully guaranteed contract when you was hurt, going through controversy. David Mailata, this dude one of the best in the game. He was able to get that with no evidence, no proof of what you were going to do. Now, I know what you had done at Houston, right? But you wasn't throwing to DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson when you got over there to Cleveland. You had David and Njoku and those guys, right? And David and Njoku ain't even there anymore. Deshaun Watson fumbled his bag because all you got to do is say, look, I get it. Like people say, hey, do people say everything they believe when they're at a podium? No. But I'm a pro at the podium. Hey, I realize I'm not playing well. I realize the fans are just a reflection of what they want to see the best out of me. Not, man, it's disrespectful. Now, is it disrespectful? Yeah. It's disrespectful because it's Cleveland. What are you booing for? What do you expect to go out there? Cleveland hasn't had the one quarterback that took you to the playoffs. He's in Tampa now. Y'all done went through more quarterbacks than man, please. So I think now for Deshaun, you ain't got nowhere to go but down. If you thought they was booing before, you go out there and play how you probably gonna play. They're probably gonna boo again. But for Deshaun, this is what he's really saying. Dude, without that money, you're not starting. Without that contract, you are not starting. And they're probably gonna boo again. That doesn't I just for me, I just think that when you think about a guy like Deshaun Watson and what the player he was is gone. The player that Cleveland paid for, he ain't that either. He ain't that either. And you know what his biggest problem is gonna be? Your number one receiver is Jerry Jeudy. That's gonna be your problem. Because it's a lot of dysfunction that goes on in Cleveland. And sometimes a guy like Shedeur Sanders, he helps you not really see the dysfunction as dysfunction. Like, he helps you kind of, because it's still Cleveland, man. I mean, make no mistake about it. People say, what's the difference between Cleveland and Arizona? One's in the AFC, one's in the NFC, one wears brown, and the other wears red. It's not that much of a difference. But for Deshaun, Marvin, Steve, I would say this. Dude, you had one opportunity to win the fan base, and you threw them under the bus. I get it that they was booed. But you know why Steven really laughing at that? Have you ever seen have you ever been to an Eagles game? They will boo Eagles during the introduction. I've heard Donovan McNabb get booed. The only Eagle I've never heard get booed was Brian Dawkins. Everybody else, fair game. Brian Westbrook done got booed. Deshaun Jackson done got booed. Shady done got booed. Michael Vick done got booed. Santa Claus got pelted. Santa Claus is never coming back to the link. But yeah, Deshaun, look, man, you make. I'm gonna say to Deshaun the same thing I said to Donovan McNabb. Dude, you make too much money, man, to care what people think. You know how much money you make, bro? You gonna make $46 million in the thing. Boo me. That's fine. Because if you haven't played football long enough, if you haven't got booed by the fans that root for you, they gonna boo you at a certain point. Everybody deals with it, right? But to say it's disrespectful, you know. Now, should they have cheered for? No, he's really pissed because they cheered for him when he got hurt, and they booed when he played. That's what he's really saying. But Deshaun, boy, you better try to win some games, boy. Because them boo birds, they coming out quick. They coming out second quarter, first drive, boo. Because Jerry Jeudy dropped the pass, or the O-line ain't that good, or Myles Garrett was like that. This is what I'm trying to get away from. I'm trying to get away from the fact that we have fans in Cleveland with expectations to win. Since when? What? You expect to win? Yeah. Since when? So, Deshaun, look, I'll take your bank account now. I'll take the money. You can't hurt my feelings.
I think we'll all take the bank account.
I just said, Marv, you getting 46 million of things. I'm like, hey, man, you know, It didn't go well tonight. It didn't go well today. And I get it. Fans out there booing, man. I'm gonna play better. They deserve better. I'm gonna give them better. Any other questions, man? Because I got to get on this boat. Any other? All right. I'm not worried about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got to go. I got to go. Me and the missus about to go. I'm just saying, like, I mean, think about this. When you got the type of money that there's nothing that's in this world that you can't provide, or you got generational wealth type money, and it's his whole contract is guaranteed. You know who told him he could do that? Kirk Cousins. Because since Kirk Cousins played 3 years on the rookie deal, he did back-to-back franchise tags when he was with Washington. And when he went to Minnesota, fully guaranteed. He read up again, fully guaranteed. Came to Atlanta, guaranteed money. If Kirk Cousins can do that, and he's still doing it, by the way, I just think that for a guy like Deshaun, I don't know what the Cleveland fan base is like, but you are one of the guys that is recognizable. I don't know. I could tell you most of them guys that play. I know they got some good players over there like Delpit and those guys, but I just think he blew it. You let emotion make you forget you ain't that good. Ain't nothing wrong with being emotional now, but I want to be. If I'm emotional, but I'm a good player, it's different. Mm-hmm. But it's what Deshaun Watson did. You know how like back in the day somebody like jumping on you, right? And they funny, right? And everybody started laughing. And you pick that dude in the corner, like, hey, bro, what you laughing? That's what Deshaun did. Who you laughing at, bro? Like, everybody can laugh, but you can't. No, Deshaun, the joke's on you, partner, because you're gonna get some. You know what this really is? What nobody trying to trade for Deshaun. They wanted to get rid of that money. What? Deshaun Watson? No, we calling for Shador. No, we you know what I'm saying? No,
I don't think he'll be on the team next year because I think there's an out clause where they can spread the money over 2 years and it ain't gonna really hurt them. But I think they're playing him to potentially try to deal him. I promise you that's the way I think it is. And also, what we'd already talked about, you gave him all that money, you got to get something. So
I mean, I'm just saying, if Kevin Stefanski wasn't married to the if his wife wasn't the daughter of the dude who Dion threw the water on back in the day, he would have traded for Shador. Mm-hmm. Think about that. You got a Sanders back in Atlanta and playing quarterback. You talk about selling tickets, what? But they don't make good decisions in Atlanta like that because we do things like they don't do that.
Let's slide on to the next one, and we just dealt with the bad of Deshaun Watson. Now we got to deal with the ugly of 49ers owner Jed York. Obviously, less than 6 hours after his divorce was finalized, he was arrested in Cleveland. I think everyone knows what he was arrested for now. We don't have to kind of dig into that. I just think it's weird. Don't you find it funny how media reports on these personal issues between athletes, how it differs when it's the ownership? There's a big difference. And look, everyone has their comments and taking their jabs at Jed at this point in time. And listen, man, I'm not gonna beat the guy up completely over it, but like, I think there's better ways to go about getting what he wanted to get accomplished than what he did. But there's a big difference on the way the media reports on ownership compared to athlete. And there couldn't even be more of an example of what we've seen this week. Jed is just one example. The other is Ed Oliver in Buffalo, right? Obviously, I think we all know the situation now. Like, he had an unfortunate situation back in June where, one of his children is no longer with us, right? Mm-hmm. And guy I had on the show, Tony Farmer, had kind of broke the news last week that, there was still an open investigation and all this other stuff. And he's being buried by everyone on social media. Josh Allen is calling him out and everything like that because he reported on on what was going on that both Buffalo, Ed, or the NFL hadn't made any statement on. I don't know how you think 7 weeks go by and nobody's going to find this out. Nobody's going to find out that your kid passed away in an unfortunate drowning accident, and there's nothing you could. There's no time period. I think that us as parents could ever feel like it's enough time, but I don't think we have a right. Media, the player itself. If 7 weeks have gone by, and somebody's going to find it out. Somebody is. So I just think we're in a weird spot where we pick and choose what we want to push and what we want to report on. And I think a lot of times you see these people who break news in the NFL, they're only going to report on certain things. We already seen it this offseason. No one wanted to report on the dying, never see anything. No one wanted to touch that with a 10-foot pole, right? But within hours of Jed York's situation, it's national news. We didn't hear about the Kyle Shanahan thing until almost a month and a half later. There's a big difference on what is reported between everything. I want to start off with Marvin on this one. What are your thoughts, man? I mean, obviously, Jed York's situation's a whole nother in a nutshell, but man, do the newsbreakers that are paid by the NFL or have access to certain teams, they really do pick and choose what they want to do, man.
Yeah, I grew up in the day, Connie Chung, Dan, I think it was like Dan Rather, you know what I mean? Like, Walter Cronk, these old school cats, you know what I mean? You heard growing up, and you seemed like there was more objectivity back then. And, if it was news, you just said it, you know what I'm saying? And back in the day, you didn't get into the lives of athletes. People didn't talk about Babe Ruth and how he was living, Mickey Mantle and how he was living. They barely even touched Joe Namath back in the day. But all the reporters saw how he was living. You know what I'm saying? And they never reported on it. I think in the day and age of social media, where it's all about getting into people's private lives, people do that. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. That's what they do. Like you're saying, Steve, depending upon who you are, if the media respects you, or if you're somebody who's in a certain level of society, you can be protected. You know what I'm saying? The thing with Diana Rossini, you don't think her co-workers and other colleagues knew that this girl was doing this? You don't think it was widely reported. People have come out and said that this has kind of been known for a while, you know what I'm saying? But no one came out and talked about, the situation with Herman Vrabel. So you're right, man. It's become a lot. It's more, and now with so many people with social media and having their own platforms, we all pick and choose what we want to hype, what we want to put in people's heads, what seeds we want to plant, what narratives we want to push. Malika Andrews is someone who's felt a little bit of heat for doing that. As a lot of people say, she gets on the brothers a little bit too much and gives a pass to other people. And I do agree with that regarding her. But yeah, man, our news, the information, there's too much agendas. There's too much, biases. There's not enough, people being objective and just telling what's relevant. Nowadays, you celebrate being able to explode somebody's life, destroy somebody's life. It's unbelievable. People take pride in that now. You know what I'm saying? Joe Namath would never made it in today's world. He would have got it out of he would have been Baker Mayfield. He went to the guy. He would have been because looked at like Baker Mayfield, early in his career. Babe Ruth went to the made it. You know what I'm saying? Too many women, too much drinking, too much gambling. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it's hard to determine what to believe. It's sad when people who should be objective, telling stuff that's relevant, when they're picking and choosing what they want to share. It's unfortunate when we see owners or some people get a pass, but players get crucified. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, there's a lot to that, Steve. And I think the biggest thing is people need to pay attention to what they're hearing, who it's coming from, and just, try to read between the lines, man, because people are here with agendas. They're out here with agendas, private agendas. They get money for clicks, and it doesn't matter if they have to set your life on fire. they're gonna go ahead and release.
Now, here's the one thing, you just said something. I don't like the fact that people are like, "You're only doing this for the clicks." Well, how do you know that person's only doing it? Like some of the times, I get it. You know that they're doing it for the clicks, but like when you have like a real person that's doing investigative reporting, and they're, I brought in Tony Farmer. He's been reporting on what was going on with Kyle Shanahan. That's his team. That's his hometown team. That he supports and stuff. He's burying his own team, so you can't sit there and say he's doing it for clicks at that point in time. If the team that he loves and supports is he's the one burying them. That I ain't ever seen anything. The Ed Oliver thing. Now, obviously, that's a lot more of a sensitive topic, but like you can't sit there and say all of them are doing for clicks. A lot of them do. I agree with you there, Marvin. A lot of them do it for the clicks. They do it for the money.
But Steve, I would say that they all do it. If you do this for a living and you're making money doing this, you work for ESPN where you get paid for clicks. You have to hit a certain amount of clicks to get paid. You get paid per click. So the unfortunate reality is even if you're telling something that is objective and truthful and you don't have an agenda, you're hoping people click on it. And if you're smart, the reality is you're probably creating a headline that draws people in. And to do that, you got to say some crazy stuff, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, or just be dramatic, you know what I'm saying? That's just the world. That's what we live in. That's what it's becoming. I mean, and it's problematic for me, but it's profitable.
What are your thoughts, Ben?
I mean, I think the thing about the York thing is very interesting because you want to know why people really want money, really want power. Because I want to control these chess pieces. You think the Kyle Shanahan situation is unusual to anybody who understands money and power? No. This man had a whole police department, sheriff's department. The Rossini thing, it's not that they didn't come after Rossini. They come after her. They got to come after who paid her, employed her. Hey, you don't believe me? Okay. Remember Sharon Moore, head coach of Michigan? He was. They found him to be innocent, right? You don't even hear from him no more. Because when it happened, because he at Michigan, oh my God, he didn't do what they said. Oh, well, it's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. With the Ed Oliver stuff, man, you an NFL player, partner. And it's the fact that it didn't come out for 7 weeks, that's respect. Now once it come out, I get it. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We talking about leverage. And if you've ever had it, you better use it while you got it. You mean to tell me the same kid that got in trouble, for doing the same thing, but he was rich and his daddy got money, went right back to school? Yeah, because you don't want to mess with his daddy. You mean to tell me, wait a minute, who was Kyle Shanahan's daddy? Oh, he got a famous daddy too? Yeah, Hall of Fame daddy. Oh, that stuff matters. So when it comes to these things, right, I mean, if my kid did something, Marv, Steve, I'm trying to protect my kid at all costs. I don't care how the world sees it. We're talking about adults. People talking about, did York really do that? Let me tell you what having the money do when you a man. Nothing. You do what men do, whether you got money or don't got money. Because people be thinking, wait a minute, people with money do this kind of stuff? Yeah. He's a guy. God, and I'm not. When guys understand how guys work, that's kind of why we don't judge it. We're like, let me calm down, because no one knows what you're going to do until you're in that seat now. No one knows, right? I'm just saying. But when it comes to these type of situations, yes, we're going to pick and choose, man. Of course we're going to pick and choose, right? Mr. Irsay, may he rest in peace. He had his difficulties when he was still alive, right? He had his difficulties. But at a certain point, you don't mess with these owners and these presidents. Hey, because they make money well past NFL places now. Hey, bro, I know, like Marv, there's a big reason why former players don't really talk dirt about other players, because they got dirt on you too. We don't open that can of worms, because you done forgot about some of the stuff you did, especially when you had that liquid courage. You can't remember where the hell you was at the next day. So let me leave that alone. But in these situations, people shouldn't be surprised. But I will say this. When that pendulum swing a little bit, and maybe the people in power start looking different, have a little melanin in their skin. They might be the opposite gender. Treat it the same now. Because, see, sometimes I want to be treated good when I do bad. That's what we really talking about. Can you treat me good if I do bad? Can I sway you with my influence? Because everybody, look, people going to make mistakes, man, but it's not going to be even, right? You know how I know it ain't even? People forget all about what Ben Roethlisberger did when he was in Millersville, Georgia. They don't even talk about it, do it? It happened. They don't even talk about it. They don't even talk about it. Like he didn't do what he did, right? Because I'm going to keep saying this. It ain't what you say, it's who said it. It ain't what you do, it's who did it. Because ain't that what we say? You hear somebody say, this bad situation, hey man, who was it? Oh, for real? Depending on who they say or who did it, gonna let you know, oh, ain't nothing gonna happen. Why? Well, I mean, wrong is wrong, right? It depends. Bad is bad, right? It depends, right? Because it's like this. If we work at a big company and our boss did something, salacious or nefarious, depending on his position, we're gonna be like, oh man, and when he walk in, like, how you doing, sir? You ain't gonna say a word. Because I'm trying to protect something. So I'm not surprised. It's just, even look, you know what's crazy? Man, we are very, very, very conditioned to hear the worst, see the worst, and go by that. You could drive by the worst accident. You say, "Oh my God! Oh, look at that lady! You ain't stopping though." I got to get to what? I got somewhere I got to go. You might see it on the news. Somebody's car could be on fire. You go, yo, somebody need to help them. Why you driving? You ain't pulling over. What am I gonna do? I got a fire extinguisher. So that's we watching fires happen in real time, and wonder why ain't nothing. This is what it really is. Why ain't nothing happening to these powerful people? Why ain't nothing really? What can you do to a guy with millions of dollars? Fine him? Suspend him? Okay. I mean, Bud Adams, may he rest in peace, was my owner. He's the owner of the Titans. When I got drafted, man, he got fined like $250K for shooting a bird at freaking Bills fans. People are like, oh my God, I can't believe he would do that. People shoot birds all the time for nothing, right? And I think that we live in a world now to where this is what we really ain't saying. We want to see something bad happen to some of these people. We want to see them really feel it. That's not going to happen. Because guess what? If the person that's willing to discipline ain't got enough power to the person they're giving it to, or they going to get you for that. They're going to be like, oh, you really going to lock me up? Yeah. And like I say, and I'm not making this political, when the president of the United States had to surrender himself, he walked in, took the picture, and he ain't no cuffs on him. I said, I'm not. Hey man, go put the cuffs on the president. Hell no, I'm not putting the cuffs on him. I'm not walking in there with him. And I'm just saying, so when people say, hey man, why do people want power? That's why. Because when you got power, you can sway stuff. The same person that was saying, get him, gonna be the same person saying, wait a minute. Wait. Like it was I can't remember the old head coach of Green Bay that had Brett Favre. Brett Favre throws a pick. He said, get him out. Before he said, wait. Let me calm down. Because that man powerful. How you gonna bitch Brett Favre? You see what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised, man. The Kyle Shanahan situation, a lot of people didn't realize how powerful Kyle Shanahan was. They know now. Oh, and to you young coaches that ain't got famous daddies, you can't do that. Who be at? Your daddy ain't, he ain't that famous. Don't try it. I'm just telling y'all, like, think about it. I'm just telling y'all, man, like, and it just happens, man. And the Rossini thing, like, listen, Aaron Rodgers trying to go on there with he tried to go with Pat McAfee. He think he's saying something. You see that Pat McAfee didn't really fan that flame. Like, I can't really. Now I'm gonna let you say what you're gonna say, Aaron, because you got your little. He like his producer like, get Aaron Rodgers the hell up that freaking said, hurry up. He tricked it. I'm telling you. So you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would love to say I'm surprised, but I'm not, man. I'm gonna give you one last example. There was a book that was supposed to come out. Remember when RG3 was talking all that stuff about Dan Snyder and how stuff is going? You don't even hear that no more, do you? That all went away. I got how he did me and John Gruden's brother and all the stuff that was going on. Dan Snyder sells a team. RG3 goes into the booth, and it never made it to Amazon books, did it? Never made it to Barnes and Nobles, did it? Because they told RG3, listen, bro, you could put this book out, but your career is over. You better sell 1 million of. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying RG3 is wrong. He chose his career and whatever. But I was waiting on the book to come out. Like, and so remember when John Gruden had all them emails on all that dirt? They got rid of John Gruden, and we never saw the emails. So once again, not to make it political, but people say, "Hey man, why didn't it come out?" Oh, that implicates a lot of people, boy. These emails, it's a lot of owners on them. That ain't coming out. That ain't coming out. So I'm not surprised, man. I hate to say it. I wish I had that type of power, man, that I could, not so I can F up and not get in trouble, but kind of I am. I wish I could. Like, think about it. You know something about me. It's like this. And we all got family members, man. And I'm not making it like your sister, she getting into it with her husband. And she tell you, come over here because he saying all this. And then you don't go. And then she show up with him holding hands at the family reunion. You're like, what the? You see what I'm saying? It's like, stay out of it, people. Leave it alone. It happens. It happens. And I'm not surprised, though, man. I'm not. York, it's just the current person. But you know how they punish a guy like Antonio Brown? Make him wait to get in the Hall of Fame? Oh, they're going to make him wait. They're going to make him wait to get in.
They're going to make AB wait.
I'm just saying, man, I would love to say this stuff is, listen, Marvin Powell helps me understand life. Money do stuff to people, man. There was a song called Bands to Make Her Dance. He ain't talking about strippers. I'm telling you, he is not. Bands make people do all kind of stuff. And the same person that told you, hey, man, we going to get this dude. When he come back and say, man, let's calm down. Somebody gave him some of this. I'm waiting on my buyout. I'm waiting on somebody to pay me off.
Well, now we went into that part. Now we got to get into the freaking WNBA and the good, the bad, and the freaking ridiculous, right? Now we all know they're on XFL level now. They are officially a soap opera sitcom. They are no longer a professional sports organization, and it's of their own making. We'd already discussed about what one of their problems is, right? So this, what was it? I think 4 or 5 days ago, Enes Kanter went to the Chicago Sky game, and this whole situation breaks off. Let's make it clear. He paid for a ticket. He told them he was going to be there. It wasn't like he just did we all know what was going on there. Wore the shirt, didn't engage the player. After a timeout was called, Miss Cloud decided she was going to go over there and kind of give him her 2 cents. They have said what was said between them wasn't really, anything that he was kind of bringing up. But the fact that now he is now banned from Chicago Sky games for being yelled at for wearing a T-shirt is absolutely ridiculous. Even Linda Cohen had something to say about it. Basically blames Natasha Cloud for the whole incident. If she doesn't go over there, there is no incident. If she doesn't go over there and starts chirping at him, there is no incident. Is he making something that we obviously know about him? Yeah, he did. But not to sit there and say he's wrong. It's just his approach wasn't that great. I'll say it that way. But then Natasha Cloud's post comment after the whole thing left much to be desired. They are a full-blown, reality TV show at this point in time. I can't consider them a sports franchise, for multiple different reasons. I want to start off with Ben on this one. Do you think Enes Kanter went about this the wrong way, and is he basically being punished for wearing a T-shirt at this point in time?
I don't want to say he went about it the wrong way. I think that he misjudged the popularity of the WNBA. If this the old WNBA, this don't even make the news, but this is the new WNBA, and he's helping them. He's helping the league by, number one, Ennis, you showing us that you wasn't that big of an NBA player because you taking a lot of interest in this, right? But number two, right? It's Marv. We talked about exposure and publicity, right? I got to take it how it comes, man. Sometimes I don't get to pick it. And for the WNBA, you got all these people saying, "Hey, leave the ladies alone," right? So people coming, they better find a way. They better find a way to use this momentum because the WNBA does not like their commissioner. They can't stand that lady, right? She doesn't, But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's just the same lady that can't even tell us what a woman is. It's the same lady, right?
No, it's not just her. They had 20 members of their organization sit down, have a conversation. They couldn't define what a woman was.
You know what? And I don't know, and I don't do conspiracy theories. I don't. But I would not be surprised that 10 years from now, this wasn't planned. Hey, Ennis, hey, Royce. Hey, man, we appreciate it, man. How y'all? Because we never know what these strategies are when it comes to it. But look, the WNBA, people talking about you. But I'm going to tell you what else about to happen. Football season is here. They better do something. They better do something. Because these Raiders finna go, it's finna go like that for a lot of sports not named college and NFL football. So, look, you better get all the Raiders you can. Because Florida State, not giving them plug, but they play on Saturday night, which means I think they might have a game on tomorrow night as far as like the official kickoff, week 0. So, if you are the WNBA, while you want to have counsels about what a woman is, you need to have counsels about strategy because people are talking about y'all. And it ain't just about Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. They're talking about the WNBA. Find a way to use this. Now, I don't know what Ennis and Royce and them guys thought was going to happen. Yeah, because here's the thing. I'm going to keep saying this, and I'm not trying to make this an issue. Right? There are zero trans women in the WNBA. Zero. Like, zero. None. Right? There's zero last time I checked. Right? Let's not make non-issues issues just because somebody brought it up. And here's the thing, right? And I don't like this. Ladies, please be careful. Stop trying to pick fights with men when you know that's not going to be a fair fight. I'm not saying Ennis don't do anything, but they grabbing him like he stood up and stuck his arms out. Who you think that's like a regular 76ers game. What, we talking trash? But hey, now he's banned from all arenas, so he can't go to none of them. But yeah, it's the WNBA doing 2026 could have been listen, y'all got a new CBA, y'all got players making over $1 million, but y'all still don't cater to your superstars. It's like I don't know. Maybe back in the day, man, when I first started talking to women, man, I ain't get the signals either. I ain't get it. I don't know. I ain't know if they trying to holler at me or not. I did learn how to stand on the wall. That way she's looking at me in the club and not the dude behind me. That's a totally different story, though. I thought she was looking at me, Mom, and she walked right up on me, and I go, "Oh, you looking at the dude? You couldn't even see him." Anyway, that's another story. But the signals when it comes to the WNBA, you better use this to galvanize the public because them eyes are about to be elsewhere quickly. And they making it more about the antics, though, than the game. Because Angel Reese has been balling lately. But guess what? No one wants to talk about when the players do well. They want to talk about Cloud. And I don't know. I mean, now, do I think Ennis is a clown? Yeah. Do I think Royce is a clown? I don't think they care about that, man. I don't think they care about being in the WNBA at all. I really don't. But come on, man. This ain't the hill you want to die on, Ennis, man. I mean, Ennis got enough problems. He can't go back to Turkey. Can't do that. He sure can't do that.
Nope.
Ennis, sit your behind down, man. I'm just saying. Like, So, but I hope the WNBA finds a way to make it work for them. It's just WNBA, let me tell you something. If y'all are on the rundown, on the fan in the end, you're doing something right. Because you wasn't on previous episode. You wasn't on the early episode. So I give them a lot of credit. If we talking about them on these platforms, man, they doing something right. But my thing is this, though, Marv. My thing is this, though, Steve. What's going to be the next antic to get us to watch? Because it's about the antics that people are watching. Now, the people throwing whatever you throwing on the court, now that's
the green D's, and that is now the 11th time this season that has happened.
That's
whoever
a,
is
that's
doing
a,
this
it's
needs
a,
to stop.
listen, either, listen, I'm gonna say this. Either these fans are weird or they freaky as hell. Y'all some freaky little fans, bruh. I'm for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait, is it a sale on them? Is Bezos just giving them away? Because I'm like, who is, you had it in your bag, bro? They let you come
the
through
last
security?
year was the Lakers fan. He was wearing a Luka jersey.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just look. If that's what you're into, but bro, keep certain things to yourself. Like, hey man, it's they rained it down on us in here. What the hell? That's crazy. That's some stuff. That's some old nut stuff. That's and ain't nothing wrong with being freaky. By the way, nothing wrong with being freaky. I ain't saying there's something wrong with it. I'm saying keep that to yourself. Everybody don't need to know.
I definitely agree there. Marvin, your thoughts on the absolutely ridiculousness of the WNBA this past week? You're on mute, brother. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I didn't see what was on the shirt, but I saw the response. And again, to me, this goes back to just being a leadership issue. And really what I mean by that is, when you're telling me that they can't come to agreement as to what a woman is or a female is, and you're telling me that this player, Linda Cohen, is agreeing that this player caused all this drama. To Ben's point, it's football season. Y'all about to suffocate. You know what I'm saying? And I think what's happening as well is I think people are getting fatigued. Fatigue. They're tired of having to address issues of what is a man, what is a woman. When for the first how many thousand years that we've been on this planet, that's been well defined. You know what I'm saying? And now we're getting into rights and people want to be free and I'm not knocking none of that. Live your life. But I think people are getting fatigued, and I think that the WNBA is just going to continue to drive people away. I think people are going to be tired of the politics, tired of trying to create arguments that they don't think deserve any life. You know what I'm saying? Like whether a born male should be able to play with females. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's a leadership issue. Again, I think that not having players on the same page, understanding what they should all be fighting and moving toward the same thing. They should all be on social media preaching the same message as it applies to their league. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not the NFL. They're still in many ways an unproven league. You know what I'm saying? They're not there yet. They're coming. They've made noise. They got market share, all that. They got Caitlin Clark, which really changed the game for them. But you get people like Caitlin Clark pissed off. You get her wanting to leave the WNBA, and you continue on this path of just non-unity and not preaching the same positive, profitable message, and you get all this drama where you calling people out in the stands. That's going to drive people away. It is in a time when you're trying to gain traction. You're trying to be a mainstay. You're trying to be the MLB, the NBA. You're trying to be college football. You're trying to be someone that's here to stay. You're not there yet. Mm-hmm. You're not there yet. Nope. So leadership issues.
Yeah, definitely a leadership issue. Because all right, they do this announcement. They have their non-binary mascot, and they wait to announce it to the Fevers in town with Sophie Cunningham. Stop it. You have a lot of good stuff going on. As you were sitting there talking about Caitlin Clark, she now has more career 30-point games with 10 assists than anyone in the league right now. You should be talking about how she's challenging Aja Wilson for potentially being the league MVP this year. No, we're talking about freaking political stuff instead of the players on the court. And the players on the court don't even respect it. They have her sitting there voted. Caitlin Clark is voted the 11th best player in the league. When does the 11th best player in the league get triple coverage? I have never seen that. That's something you do for some of the elite players in your league. So and as the bed point, that Angel Reese has been balling. She's been setting records. She had 26 rebounds the other night. Now, obviously, afterwards, she sticks her foot in her mouth, sitting there saying she's breaking NBA records. I don't know what NBA record you breaking. Rebounds. We got guys with 40 and 50 plus rebound games. I love you, Angel Reese. You are making improvements. She had a game last week where she was perfect from the field. Now, obviously, I think it was either last night or the night before. I think she was like 4 for 14. Had a rough game, but she still. We already said like she's the Dennis Rodman of the WNBA. She's an elite rebounder. And I think she brings a lot of eyes to it. And when we're sitting there having these conversations, other than what the players on the court, we're disservicing the growth that Caitlin has put into it, that Aja has put into it, that Angel has put into it. You know, regardless of what people feel about Sophie Cunningham, and everyone wants to sit there and find ways to kind of make it not about basketball talk. I love her. She pulled a Jalen Hurts comment the other week. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Let's talk about basketball. So when you have leadership problems, these are the things that follows with it. Look, I get that the WNBA has a large portion of its fan base that are from the LGBTQ community, right? I get that. You don't have to cater to them to the point of where you're having to entertain Cantor's nonsense courtside. This is a leadership problem, in my opinion. It's going to continue until she's removed, and you get somebody with a backbone that sit there and stands up for the common sense that we all know. There should be no biological male in any women's sport. It doesn't matter if we're talking the WNBA, if we're talking cross-country track, swimming, golf. I don't care. It's a non-topic to talk about, but we have to talk about it because the WNBA won't stand on it. And that's absolutely a leadership thing, and that's going to continue until that leadership is removed from its position of power, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So, want to get on to this next point, right? We talked about this last week about the scuffle, right? And we all kind of think this is a thing, but apparently the league is fining both the Saints and the Cowboys $500K for their little joint practice scuffle. Which they weren't the only team that got in the scuffles. Even the Eagles and Patriots got into a little thing at their joint practice. But do you really think they need to fine them for that, or do you just be like, guys, you have to control this. You can't let it get to the point where you got guys suplexing other guys. Ben, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the reason why they find these teams is because they're trying to find a way to get it out of the game. It's hard to get fighting out of the game, but a scuffle between two players is different than a full team. Because here's the thing, you don't really understand how bad it was until everything is settled. And then in the training room, you got a player going up to a trainer going, "Hey, I might have broke my hand." What? When? Man, when and let me say this. At a certain point, the NFL players need to know everything we do, everybody's going to do underneath college, high school, middle school, because they don't want to, and Marv, maybe I'm speaking for myself, high school, college, they don't want to play like you. They want to be you. They trying to dress like you. I can't even remember the freaking quarterback name for freaking Nebraska. Talking about, I can't, don't get mad at me because God made me look like Patrick Mahomes. No, he didn't. You cut your hair like that.
Rayola?
You put your sleeve on like that. Which means they ain't make you look like him. Anyway, I think when it comes to the players, though, these consequences are going to get harsher. Because they said $500,000 to the team, but when they start sending out them FedEx letters to them players, you getting fined like it's a game in practice. Okay, then I'm gonna be like, boy, I'm gonna pull that right back. Because look, testosterone, man, it's at an all-time high. And logic is at an all-time low. I'm hot, I'm tired, I'm frustrated. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's hard to police, alpha male. It's hard to do it, but we're gonna have to police ourselves because let me tell you something. You work too hard to make your money, man. But here's what's laughable though. What is $500,000 to an NFL franchise? Like what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, but I think that it was so many this year. Like it's almost like every joint practice. I will say this though, it is hard. They always talk about the joint practice fights. Why don't they show the team fights? But that happens too. That definitely happens. But I just think that we live in such a sensationalized social media driven world that everything seems bigger than what it is. I know that Louis Riddick came out and was saying a whole bunch of stuff about it. Sometimes fighting is a part of football as long as nobody gets injured and don't nobody break their hand. You know, I mean, that Steiner kid, he better put it in his daddy watching, but you better do what I taught you. You better do something. He right there. You know, so it happens. But I think they're going to try to police it more because sometimes the NFL players and teams don't understand how truly influential they are. Like, because people, oh my God, they're fighting. Well, is it a fight or is it a couple of bowls being thrown? Like, it ain't no scrap out there. It's a bunch of grabbing that face mask and pulling it. It ain't going to, you know, so, but hopefully they'll get together, man. $500K, you know, them owners going to say, hey, man, I don't make money by paying money now. I make money by bringing it in. So let's keep it together. And like I say, as long as the quarterbacks ain't getting injured, now, Patrick Mahomes is out. Oh, Joe Burrow is out. Please. They ain't worried about it. They ain't worried about it for real, but the league did whatever the little fun they added to it. Hey man, we got what a couple of $2, $3 million from these teams this year. All right. Cool. You know, they're gonna make it back in 2026. So what they made 25 billion last year? 25 billion, something stupid. Oh.
What are your thoughts, Marvin? The fine between the Saints and Cowboys little joint practice scuffle?
So I agree with everything Ben said. But one thing I'll add is I think the main reason they fine the teams is because they're anticipating at some point some type of action from a player gets hurt and he's fine. And now it's an unsafe working environment. Now it's something like that. You know what I mean? That comes back to the team, comes back to the NFL. And the NFL has to show that they've made attempts to try to clean this up. You know what I mean? So I think this is them just covering their ass, to be honest with you, because if these fights continue, which they will, then somebody is going to get hurt. And I haven't heard of a player ever really getting seriously hurt, something like that. But I mean, it's bound to happen. And with that comes litigation. With this comes evidence of, hey, we've been trying to get it out the game forever. So I just add that on top of what Ben said.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, like I said, it's going to happen. I agree with you. It's the NFL kind of sitting there saying we're acknowledging this. You guys can't be doing this, and also like prevent them from having any type of litigation thrown their way. But like I said, it's been an interesting off season for a bunch of different reasons. As I was talking about we were talking about the Eagles and Patriots joint practice, and there was a little bit of a scuffle going there, but I don't even think that was the bigger news because obviously Jalen and AJ I think had a absolute moment that was just, I think it was service for the fans. I don't we all know the AJ Brown situation by now. We've all talked about it. We've all discussed it. We've all broke it down. The fact that, they wait till the cameras are all around to sit down there and what looks like to, still have a bonding brotherly moment was just, I think, service for the fans. I think AJ's real problem with this is he hasn't actually addressed this. He's just, I'm moving on. We're doing this. We're doing that. I'll always have he's never really addressed what the actual issue was, why he wanted out. And I think that's why this thing still has oxygen. The fact that you wait till practice is over and everything, and all the cameras are there, and you're chucking it up with Jalen, who you more or less have been throwing under the bus for the last 2 years. But me personally, I've moved on. What I wish AJ the best is just not when it's against us. Other than that, he helped us win a Super Bowl. That's all I'm gonna leave there. Actually, I'm gonna switch gears here because our guest is here, gentlemen. So let's welcome in former NFL kicker Mr. Nick Lowery is joining us today. Nick, how are we feeling today, my friend?
I prefer to be introduced as Kansas City Chiefs' current Hall of Fame. Former NFL kicker sounds like I'm in a, dustbin somewhere.
Well, I got two former NFL players here. They're not in dustbin, so you're not in a dustbin either.
Marvin, Powell, are you kidding?
Yeah, what's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Man, listen, it is a pleasure to have you on here. Growing up, I was a big Jet fan, as you can imagine. And
was that your dad?
My father, Marvin Powell Jr., played for the New York.
Yeah, I think it was the number one pick. My first year, 78, when I almost made it, but I wasn't quite ready for prime time. So, but Marvin, I think, was our number one pick back in 78, right?
He was the number 4 pick in the draft. He was the number 4 pick overall in 1977. And he played with the Jets until 1985. So
wow.
he was in New York for 9 years and spent his last 2 years in Tampa. But Nick, man, listen, growing up a Jet fan, obviously I'm aware of who you are, and you had a phenomenal career, and we're excited to have you. And I know I got a few questions for you here. And
go for it.
Yeah, and obviously we're here with our man Ben Troupe as well.
Hey Ben.
Man, how you doing, sir? Man, I mean, obviously when we knew he was coming on. I'm always telling Steven, I said, look, man, there are 3 guys on the team that are almost irreplaceable. That is your kicker, your punter, and your long snapper. Because if one of those guys get hurt, all hell about to break loose. It is officially broken loose. Because I say, look, people can run fast and hit hard. I say, but we got to get it through the mud running. It ain't but one person can do that. Because if the punter gets hurt, the kicker got to do it. And the kicker get hurt, the punter got to do it. You don't want me to do it. If you think you don't need me running out there, because it's going to be, but no, it is a pleasure having you on. I'm always messing with Marv about his dad, man, and the fact that you got a chance to, play with his dad, man, be there with him, and we are the motto for this show is Marvin Powell for Hall of Fame, because he ain't in there yet, but he needs to be in there. So but no, man. No doubt.
Marvin, kick this thing off, brother.
I got you. So Nick, obviously, knowing that you're coming on here, I'm going back and I'm just reading stuff about your life and your career and just everything. And I've been fascinated by quite a few things on the field and off the field. We'll start with on the field. First of all, you played for quite some time. Obviously, got into the league in '78, and then obviously played. It was 14 years, 18 years altogether. In that time, sports science and training changed and evolved, and because of that, it allows players like yourself to play, almost 20 years. I had read that you had incorporated some speed training later in your career, which ultimately aided and this really impacted your ability to play for a while. Can you talk about, just how the training for kickers had changed from 1978 until, obviously almost the year 2000 when you got out? What was different from the beginning of your career to the end of your career?
Marvin, we did a lot of dumb things back in the 80s. C.T. Hughley, nice guy, carried a third of a nuclear weapon on his back in Cambodia. And so he just believed that I should do everything the same as the offensive lineman. So I'm deadlifting 425 pounds and I'm squatting 400 pounds, and my back is paying for it today for that. It probably helped in certain ways, but when you're weightlifting and getting really heavyweight, but you're losing, if you lose also when you gain supposedly strength on a bench or whatever, but you're also losing suppleness and range of motion and balance. And so it did, I still had a long career, but today there's much more training opportunities and options that customize to what your needs are. I mean, let's face it, mine was a skill position, not like your dad, 310 pounds. And, look how agile today's offensive linemen are, for instance, that, when they talk about rumbling, stumbling, my friend Chris Berman, right, on Monday Night Football, there's not a lot of rumbling and stumbling anymore with offensive linemen. For me, I shifted. I had the best mile and a half team on the time on the team. I shifted away. I started to wear what were called power pants and stopped running so much distance, gained about 20 pounds, and power pants had weights in them. And then I would also run downhill sprints. And actually, from a standing start on a dirt track when I was 38, I ran a 10.28 and a 10.32, 100 yards, okay, but still not too bad for a 38-year-old. And those things do matter because kicking is not so much endurance, although you have to be able to kick maybe 100 kicks during a game on the sidelines and in the game. But it is a sprint. It is about explosion. But if you have explosiveness without balance, you're in trouble. So, training with a narrow set of goalposts, ballet, martial arts, everything that allowed me to maintain balance on one leg and extend, that's what any athlete needs. So I just shifted more and more towards those things that were customized to my position.
And with that said, nowadays it's no big deal to see a kicker go out there and try to kick a 50-yard field goal. You know what I'm saying? That's just like the norm right now. Do you think that kickers, back in your day, could have done that if given the opportunity, or do you attribute that also just to the differences in conditioning and just the way we train today for kickers?
Anybody that pays attention to the media today knows that they don't do a great job of researching or telling all the stories. It's just so obvious what's happened. I had 3 of the 5 longest field goals in NFL history by 1985. In 1983, I had the longest field goal in the history of the NFL in the first quarter against the world champion Redskins. It was the longest field goal ever in RFK Stadium, and 58 yards, just inside 59 yards. What's happened in the last 10 years? Jan Stenner was sitting next to me in the owner's suite on Chiefs Legends Weekend about 10, 12 years ago, and he goes, "Nick, you need to talk about this." I'm like, "Jan, you're already in the NFL Hall of Fame. I'm in the Chiefs Hall of Fame, but maybe you should say it." But the truth is, in the last 10 years, all you have to do, Marvin and Ben and Steve, is look at the average punt, the average net punt. They just suddenly jump 5 yards just out of the blue. And people don't, that many people don't change like that. And that was about 10, 12 years ago because they started to break in the ball. If you guys played baseball, when you had a new mitt, you had to put linseed oil into it so it would break it in. And so that added about 6, 7, 8 yards. And then Harrison Butker, who is an incredible kicker, he's kicked 2 58-yarders, 59-yarders, and a 69-yarder in the preseason already this year. Well, guess what? For the first time ever in the NFL, kickers can practice with their game balls for 3 weeks. And it's just ridiculous. So that adds 10 yards. So that's why suddenly, out of the blue, have these 69, 70-yard field goals. I'm not going to say that today's kickers aren't better, but frankly, I would have been doing pretty well too. I was kicking 87% in the 90s. 35 years ago, I was kicking 87%. I had 24 in a row in 90, 21 in a row in 91, 22 for 24 in 92, without those benefits. So today's kickers are amazing. Harrison Butker is incredible. Brandon Aubrey is amazing with Dallas. There's some really great kickers, but they haven't suddenly, morphed into monsters. The ball, if this was baseball, they'd be talking about a juiced baseball. It's a juiced football now, and they never talk about it.
Wow.
Yeah, but Nick, even with that being said, I do my best not to do that either, like to try to compare the different eras, right? Because if you can kick, you can kick. If you can get it to the upright, you can. But the mind of a kicker has got to be something that needs to be studied more, because you guys are usually over there kicking into a net and y'all looking to see, and all of a sudden the game is going on now. We need Nick to come in and save the day. What is that like, knowing that, look, I know it's all about your routine. I know it's all about, listen, I'm just trying to get, I get a good look. What is your mindset knowing that I'm the only guy on this team that can do what I do. Yeah, we got a punter, and if you get hurt, the punter got the kick, but that's not good for him. What is the mindset? What is your mindset going into a game knowing, hey, I'm gonna be the guy that either makes sure we win this game or not, regardless if it's raining, snow, windy. What is that like?
You are the Billy the Kid, man. It's a great question. You are the Billy the Kid, man. You got to go out there in the corral against Wyatt Earp or against some other person and get it done. And so you have to train as if every kick is a situation with a score. So you're training yourself. Just like an actor, right? You're rehearsing over and over. So when you run out there, you're not surprised. Now this is a really good thing to share with people that get nervous and don't know how to handle it. Because you're running out there, you don't have 70 plays or 50 plays. You got one kick, and you better make it, or your team loses. And usually that one kick, it could be an extra point, makes a huge difference in the game. So there's an unbelievable amount of pressure. So when you're running out there, part of you is saying, one voice you have to learn to discipline is going, this is too much. But you practice so that you override that. And one of the ways you override it, you say, I want to be nervous. You own that nervousness. If you say, I don't want to be nervous, be calm, I don't want to be nervous, that's going against your natural instincts because you care, because you put in so much time, pain, effort. And so you practice with situations. Hopefully your team field goals are situations and pressure. Then you run out there and then you have mechanisms that work for you. For me, I would say left foot as I'm approaching the ball, and I'm a right-footed kicker, left foot, which was a reminder, left foot right at the target at the goalpost, and explode. Explode was my permission to attack the ball. When you get in trouble, and I talked to Harrison Butker this week about this, is when you're trying to be too accurate, when the pitcher, I was a pitcher in college, when the manager comes out and says, whatever you do, don't throw it on the outside corner. What's going through your head is the image of the outside corner. You're more likely to throw it on the outside corner. So whatever you put in your head is incredibly important, and managing your state is just as important, probably more important. In practice, it may be more physical, but you're also providing situations. And I bet you, both of you guys, and Marvin Powell Sr., even at offensive line positions, you got to remember the call. You got to remember who I'm blocking. I might shed that guy and hit a second guy. But you practice that so that in the big games, when, let's say, out of the blue, a safety comes in and you got to pick him up, you've practiced that so many times that you react without any hesitation. I'll never forget, just to make this more broad for players in general, you remember Priest Holmes, who scored about 70 touchdowns in 3 years for the Kansas City Chiefs with Dick Vermeil, right, in the early 2000s. I mean, amazing player, right? Incredibly good. And maybe one of the best offensive lines of all time, blocking for him. When he would go through the walkthrough on the Saturday before game, everybody would leave. He would stay on the field, and he would walk through and visualize every single step of every single fundamental running play that he knew was likely to be called. And if you watch Priest Holmes, what really singled him out was no hesitation. None. It was boom, 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 boom. And you're telling me your offensive lineman creates that hole for a fraction of a second, and he can bust right through it because he's got no hesitation, because he's prepared that way. Same thing with the kicker. You prepared so much that you're no longer thinking. It's the self-consciousness that gets in the way. The big muscle groups get in the way, and you lose that subtlety as a kicker, man, and you just have to attack the ball. That's why I said explode, because that was about attacking the ball, because God's given us this amazing brain that if we turn it loose, we already know how to kick, we know how to block, we know how to run, we know how to swing, all those natural motions. It's when we get self-conscious that we slow down that little bit and lose our power.
When
Nick, well, this is my last one because I gotta ask this. Nick, would you say that kickers are the greatest doubt annihilators in sports? Because it's only one of y'all. Because doubt, we all have it. But I would think that y'all would.
Man, that is like such a cool phrase, brother. Doubt annihilators. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
You are a smart man.
Well,
If I was a head
hold on, wait.
coach, I would have
My
wanted you on
wife,
my
my
team.
wife
That is
isn't here
so
right now,
smart.
but I'm gonna have to clip that part so my wife can hear. You compliment me being a
And
smart man.
what's your wife's name?
Her name is Cheryl. My wife's name is Cheryl.
Cheryl, you married a smart man. Hang on to this guy. Doubt annihilator. That is an incredible talent. Think about a guy named, Tom Brady. Think about my teammate for 2 years, Joe Montana. I'm talking about lack of hesitation with Priest Holmes. These guys prepared so incredibly well that they were ready, boom, because they'd eliminated doubt because they prepared that extra dimension past the average player. And when you've eliminated doubt, man, you're no longer questioning yourself, which creates that hesitation and that doubt. You are just going for it. And you're still human. God's made us human. We may be made in God's image, but we're also human. And we'll make mistakes. But, I'll argue that 24 field goals in a row, and then the next year, 21 in a row, 22 for 24, because I'd helped reduce very significantly the doubt. I was attacking the ball. I trained hard, man. I would start off, I'd ride the bike and I'd have the guy stretch me. Then I'd run with those power pants. Then I'd do incline squats on a sled with 800-pound sets of 15. I did all that stuff. I ran downhill 100 yards, just to kind of stretch out and all that training. But by the way, while I'm training, my brain's thinking, man, this is going to make me more confident in the game. And every time you train that way, you're feeding the DNA, every little cell in your body with that confidence of preparation. So today's players, how many teams, you could define the great teams in the NFL as they can put together 4 quarters. Almost no team in the NFL puts together 4 quarters consistently. They'll be great in the first half. They'll be lousy in the first half and better in the second half. But the championship teams, they can put together 4 consecutive quarters, and that fourth quarter, man, they are on. And the Chiefs, in their glory days, I'm not sure about the glory days yet because I'm worried about our offensive line, and we don't have great physical wide receivers, but we'll still probably win 10 games this year, maybe make it in the playoffs if we stay healthy. But a couple of years ago, man, there was no doubt. The training, Eric Bieniemy's back. He eliminates doubt. He makes sure that every player knows every inch of every pass pattern, the blocking, picking up the secondary guy coming around the corner when you're the fullback or when you're the running back, protecting your quarterback. And that's the only thing I worry about with the Chiefs now is we got to protect Patrick Mahomes, man. With the exception of Tom Brady, so possibly, you got to go by record. Those 2 guys are the best quarterbacks in the last 25 years.
That is a great point, but we got a question from the chat room for you, Nick. Anthony basically asking, for you as a kicker yourself, why do you think special team gets overlooked in general? Because he feels like the kicker and punter become an afterthought when drafting.
Well, they're more drafting now of kickers and punters now. It's still not a lot. But I will tell you, since I've got 2 brilliant people besides you, Steve, asking great questions, I will define a great coach very quickly as not a great coach if he doesn't appreciate special teams, because every single special team is an exchange of field position or points, every single one. And there are more things that can go wrong because it's a wide open field when you're running down on a punt, which I did for one game against the Raiders when Brian Barker, a punter, had a separated shoulder. Man, that's a wide open field. There are lots of injuries. There are lots of missed blocks, wide open, spread out, not just right starting in there between the tackles. So special teams is pretty damn important. I had Marv Levy, who was already a very good coach for the Chiefs and had the courage to cut my idol, Jan Stenerud, and today even people don't remember that I beat out Jan Stenerud head-to-head. I didn't replace him. I had to outkick him in 107-degree heat. But the great coaches, Marv Levy, of course, goes on to a Hall of Fame career with Buffalo. He was not quite ready. And look at all the head coaches, by the way, that were good but not great in their first time. Bill Belichick with Cleveland, Pete Carroll with the Jets. poor guy, only 1 year there, and then did okay with the Patriots, and then did amazing with USC in Seattle. Marv Levy understood special teams and knew that I had just an edge over Jan Stenner, who, by the way, we're really good friends now. He didn't like me at first. Well, why would he? Because he'd played 13 years with the Chiefs, but he played 6 more years. He was still in the middle of his career, and he redoubled himself. So special teams is that edge. It's the easiest way to get a quick edge. Blocking a punt. In 1986, Frank Gans, the greatest special teams coach of all time, whose son, Frank Gans Jr., just died at 64. Really tragic. Both of them died younger than they should have. But Frank, we blocked 11 kicks. We had a guy named, remember Albert Lewis? One of the great, he should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way, one of the great athletes I've ever known, a very good friend. And man, his acceleration. And we would know exactly the details of every little inch to create space for Albert to run through and block kicks, including against the New England Patriots. And that's where special teams provides that little bit of an edge. And a block punt, another example. We're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, had a bye week, 1994 playoffs, and Kansas City, and we're down 24-10. Now, we do have Joe Montana, we do have Marcus Allen, we do have Derek Thomas, Neil Smith, and Nick Lowery, but it's not looking good. It's late it's in the beginning of the fourth quarter. We block a punt, and suddenly we're in field position, and we score. Now it's 24-17. And then we score a touchdown with, a minute left, tie it up. And then I'm lucky enough to be in a position, thanks to Joe Montana, Marcus Allen, and J.J. Burden, and Keith Cash, and all the other great players on our team to kick the game-winning field goal. But it started with a block punt. A block punt or field goal will knock the confidence out of the other team. Another example against the Pittsburgh Steelers, ironically, in 1986-87, we had 179 yards offense to their 510. And we blocked a punt for a touchdown. Not only blocked it, but returned it for a touchdown. We blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown. We returned a kickoff for a touchdown. And then I kicked a 47-yard field goal, and we beat them 24-19 because of special teams. That's how important special teams can be. And by the way, have you ever heard of that all happening in one game? We had to win that game to make the playoffs. So special teams, long-winded answer, pretty damn important. If you pay attention to it, it shows whether you've got a head coach that's, frankly, a good head coach.
Now, one thing I want to talk to you about, because we talk about Hall of Fame on here a lot. We just seen Adam Vinatieri inducted into the Hall of Fame. You mentioned your boy Jan there. Why is it? And now we know the NFL Hall of Fame is almost impossible to get into, but why do we only have 3 natural place kickers in the Hall of Fame right now? You have Jan, you have Morton.
I'm a little biased, but when I retired, I was most accurate kicker in NFL history. I had the most 50-yarders in NFL history. I had the most games with 2 50-yarders in NFL history. I had the highest PAT percentage, 562 or 568 in NFL history. I kind of think that I'll go with you on that one. I think the problem with the Chiefs was in the 80s, we're not very good. In the 90s, thanks to Marty Schottenheimer and Carl Peterson, we were in the playoffs every year. But we never quite made the Super Bowl. If we'd made the Super Bowl, I think that would have changed things. But frankly, let's look at quarterbacks. They're all making 50, the good ones, 40, 50, 60 million. And what's overlooked is the kicker, who's not going to be calling the plays, not going to be, playing 70 plays. And yet somehow they're still held to that standard. What do they do in the Super Bowl? The way Jan Stenner kicked 3 field goals and deserved to be in the Super Bowl, the Hall of Fame, because he was the first dominant kicker. But I think maybe if I'd started with another team, I think maybe it kind of boggles people's brains that you had arguably the first 2 great kickers in the NFL who were on the same team. But you know what? I'm in the Chiefs Hall of Fame. I'm their all-time scorer. I'm blessed, and I'm not going to let myself get bitter about it. But I'm on my team. I definitely think I should be there too.
I don't disagree with you there, Nick. One more I wanted to get before I let Marvin and Ben get another crack at you. Definitely wanted to give you a chance to kind of plug your book and talk to your book.
Well, thank you.
Make it alone in front of 80,000 people. What gave you the wherewithal to kind of put this book out there, and what's it about?
Thank you. I was just actually on Fox National Radio yesterday talking about the book. I want to help people deal with pressure. I think whether you're an offensive lineman, whether you're a head coach, whether you're, somebody that has a job with, a lot of pressure, one of the stats today is that 70% of the population is within 2 paychecks of being bankrupt, right? We talk about the economy. It's got 2 faces. One is the people that invest in stock and the stock market are doing well, but there's so many people. And that's why I have a program called Champions for the Homeless that are really close to, have lost it. They lost a job and maybe had a medical expense and now they're homeless. So dealing with pressure is something our culture runs away from, because on the other side of pressure is responsibility. And the kicker can't make any excuses. You learn quickly. Shut the you-know-what up. Make it. If you don't learn, get ready for the next one. You don't have any excuse. At other positions, it's harder to see, but as a kicker, it either goes through or it doesn't. And they can't say, well, it hit the upright. It still didn't go through. So I want to help people deal with that very difficult internal conversation, which is the most important conversation of all, with ourselves and with God. What's my purpose? What's my talent? How can I use my unique talents, whether I'm Ben Troupe or whether I'm Marvin Powell Jr. or Steve? How do I pronounce your last name? Is it Rychel?
Rychel, like rye bread, shellfish.
We all have pressure. Please, all of us have pressure in life. We all have adversity. God gave us adversity to teach us how to be better, to be closer to what our purpose is. And our purpose always is a higher purpose when we're connecting to helping other people as well on that journey we all go through. And when we realize that, we realize we're all connected. White, black, red. I do a lot of work with American Indians, natives, Asians, wherever, Hispanics. We're all the same, man. Give me a break. And also the other side of the story is success is pretty darn empty when you're on the mountaintop alone. When I kicked the game-winning field goal with Steve Largent holding, and there's a great story if you want, I'll tell you about that Pro Bowl back in 1982, because I'm an old dude. But I remember in the locker room afterwards, there were 17 Hall of Famers in that locker room, 17 future Hall of Famers. And and I get emotional every time I tell this story, as soon as they started to leave the locker room, I'm like, what now? Who am I going to have dinner with? I got my buddy Bob Grupp, who was a Pro Bowl punter for a year and great guy, but not my mom and dad, not my friends, et cetera. And I resolved then, this feels empty. If I make the Pro Bowl again, I'm inviting my friends. I'm including my family, my friends. And I kicked 2 more game-winning field goals in the Pro Bowl in the 90s. And I got to share it with, implacable enemies from the Buffalo Bills and San Diego Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, all those guys. But most importantly, I had my mom and dad in the front row watching. I had dinner with them the night after the game. I had breakfast with them the day after the game. And I have pictures. Here's one of them with my mom and dad in Hawaii. And my mom never smiled. She was a very proper British lady. You can see that big smile. Those are the memories that make life worth living, right? That we had success, but we shared that success and that energy. And when we make our goals in life, and that's what the book's about, make sure your goals include, I'm going to share this with as many people as I can, because that is the juice of life that always keeps on giving.
All right, let's go. Ben here. I know he's got to get going. He's up against it. He's got some personal stuff going on. So go ahead, Ben. You're on mute, brother. You're on mute. Ben, you're on mute.
Ben, you're on mute.
On mute, Ben.
Ben,
we want to hear your voice.
Ben, you're on mute.
Oh, I thought I had pushed it. My fault.
And I like
said, it ain't appreciate it. It ain't every day, nigga, I get to sit down with the son of a future Hall of Famer and a future Hall of Famer. You already got Kansas City. What is that gonna be like for you though? Because I done read up on you. I mean, your dad in World War II, what your mom had to do. You going to Dartmouth and I mean, you and Marvin are gonna be on Netflix specials, but what is it gonna be like for you when everything you've done, Nick, you get that knock on the door and they say, "Welcome to the Football Hall of Fame"?
Gratitude, man. I mean, the most important thing actually, if you Google, guys, Nick Lowery Companion app, my company, Blue Cloud X, has developed a mental health app, and keeping us to manage all the challenges in life, especially as we get older too, by the way, is mental health. And gratitude is the most predictable way of staying in a good place, is to focus not just on all the SHIT that happens to us, the injuries. I got 5 joint replacements, guys, both shoulders from the stupid behind the neck weightlifting we did, and the hip replacement, the knee and the ankle. But I'm so grateful I get to help people. I'm so grateful I get to work with and stare people at Champions for the Homeless at St. Vincent de Paul in the eye and see people that have nothing, and yet they've had everything taken away and they're still grateful. So gratitude, man, that's what I will feel, so much gratitude. And that's what it's all about. I mean, the great speeches, Larry Fitzgerald. Have you ever seen a guy that was more congruent and consistent on and off the field? He comes to Champions for the Homeless with us in Phoenix, and man, he'd get his lights hit. He'd fall down after a big monster hit. He'd bounce right back up, tap the guy in the shoulder. Patrick Mahomes does that too, by the way. Nice hit. I'm like, man, wow. But gratitude is the simple potion that keeps us healthy and happy. And I would be unbelievable grateful. And then you turn around, Ben, and you think about the mentors. I bet you had great coaches, teachers, mentors, parents, role models. Just, I'm sure one of them at least jumps up in your head and goes, man, that guy or that woman helped me, my mom, right? That helped me stay through all the tough stuff and kept growing as a human being to be a better person.
Marvin, your final thoughts on this one?
A couple of things here. When you were mentioning using the baseball reference, talking about when you say something, that's what people start thinking about. You sounded like Tony Robbins. He does this thing called NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I don't know if you're familiar, but as a kid, okay, so it makes sense because that's you sound like him a little bit when you talk. As a kicker, back in the day or even now, did you have any mental health coaches? Did you have? Today it's a very common thing to have a therapist, to have a success coach, whatever it may be. Back in the day, it was still maybe quirky and taboo. But have you been into that? Is that something that you've been doing, working with someone? And
well, I'll tell you what. Before the '90s season, I'm staying up late at night, and we've got a new head coach, a new general manager, and in fact, the cover of Kansas City Star magazine I was on, it said Nick Lowery is one of the greatest kickers in NFL history, but at 34, his time running out. And I thought I'm going to try these Tony Robbins tapes. And that year I led the NFL in scoring. I won the Golden Toe Award, had 24 field goals in a row. And I went from already being the most accurate kicker in NFL history at 77% to 87%. And I met Tony Robbins after that, and he invited me to shoot a commercial. So my commercial was on with Tony Robbins' commercial. It was part of that for like 12 years. And I'm not as big a fan of the conferences that he does because there's a lot of, I think, implied group pressure. But doing the tapes and the books, his books are unbelievable. And in the end, we have to do our own work. We can't just change because other people, as much as we like them, are putting, their own pressure and implied judgment on us. We have to do the work ourselves. Once again, so that internal narrative that we alone can manage is productive and focused on things that we can control. By the way, the only thing we can control is us, how we look at our challenges, how we make better choices, how we deal with adversity, how we deal with failure. I mean, the hardest thing as a kicker, Marvin, and Steve, is coming back from a missed field goal. It's the worst, most public failure. And in my book, it's all about being told 11 times I wasn't good enough. But at the end of 2 years of being told I wasn't good enough, I was ready to beat out Jan Stenerud every day. And by the way, who was charting us? Clark Hunt, who's the current owner of the Chiefs, the son of Lamar Hunt, and he was the one that told his dad, charting us every day, get off time, made, missed, whatever. Nick Lowery's going to beat out Jan Stenerud. So anyway, the work is worth it, but it's not going to be easy.
Additionally, this is off football, but Ben had referenced your mom, and you had mentioned how she was British. I had read that she had a huge responsibility in helping identify people who had lost their lives in the Jewish Holocaust.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that a little bit and give our listeners a chance?
Thank you for bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
Woo. You know, when we think about the influence of our parents, it's not just verbal, you know. My mother never talked about it, and I had to find out from Father David McElhenney, who had been the Episcopal student chaplain at Dartmouth. He was a PhD candidate at Oxford about 20 years after my mom went to Oxford. My mother was in the first full class of women at Oxford. By the way, back then, the women had to be honor students. And she was an expert. She spoke literally the best German in England. She was in the Women's Royal Navy and the intelligence officers. And if you follow the history of World War II, Bletchley was the center where they decoded German codes and messages to predict German attacks. And at the end of the war, I knew that she'd been sent to Berlin and Minden, just outside Berlin, to question Hitler's record keepers. So imagine that, right? Those guys had all lost family members and friends, and Berlin is on 20 feet of rubble. All the buildings are blown up by the Americans and the British and the Russians. And yet she said they were falling over themselves to give her, you know, all the information she needed. But what she didn't tell us, and Father McElhenney told me 10 years after she died, because she didn't want us to know, that she'd been sent before the end of the war, about a month earlier, 6 weeks earlier, to Dachau, which is just outside Munich, which is one of the worst of, they were all awful. Doesn't even do it justice, of the Holocaust, of the concentration camps. And she had to document them, you know, with a photographer and filming. And then to compound that, spent a year and a half in London presenting about it to unbelieving audiences. And she was crushed that so many people, because they'd kept this secret, you know, there was, if you really thought about it, you go, well, what do you think's going to happen? The Germans call it the final solution. But she just didn't want to share that incredible dark energy of the worst things that mankind has ever done. And mankind's done a lot of bad things, and, you know, witness what we did with the American Indians here and with slavery, etc. But she kept that secret. And I think that was what Tom Brokaw talked about in his book, The Greatest Generation. When you fought that hard, my dad was a reconnaissance pilot for General Patton, flying over Germany the last 6 months of the war at 3,000 feet in an unarmored Piper Cub. When you've risked your life, when you have experienced, you know, London bombing, you know, losing friends, losing family, you don't want to you fought for a reason. You fought for freedom. You fought for a life that you're living in now, in the 50s and 60s as they built after the war. And you don't bring that dark energy. And so Mom didn't. My dad didn't. They never shared it with us. And, you know, it's hard not to get emotional. Think about the level of love your parents have to protect you from that stuff. You know, they want you to have a life better than they had. And she was a great woman, as my dad was. So I was lucky.
I'll tell you what, as somebody who absolutely believes that gratitude is one of the probably the greatest pillar of leadership, you express a lot of it, man. So it's obvious to me that you live a life of gratitude, Nick. I can just tell by your tone, your energy. It's, you know, it's very genuine. And this is my first time, obviously, ever interacting with you, and I feel that. Last question here. You had referenced Steve Largent holding. Let me ask you, of all the times that you've ever missed a kick, right? And you haven't missed that many, right? How many, and you don't ever hear about this, kickers, you know, you just take accountability, so on, you know, but how many times really is it the holder that messed up and you don't want to call them out? Is that a common thing, Nick? Be honest.
I will answer that, which is almost never, once in a great while. but it just doesn't help. I mean, in the book, in the movie, Any Given Sunday, no, not Pet. That's right, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective with Jim Carrey. He's pointing at the whole. He's that kicker is like living his life in bitterness because it laces out, but it just almost never. I'll just say almost never, and it's just not worth it to even focus on that because that's out of your control. What's in your control is that you're lucky enough to have a holder that likes to practice it. And then you have those game situations where, they're under pressure too. Talk about unappreciated. The holders only notice when they screw up. But in the end, learning to own your stuff as a kicker is a great lesson for life. Right. And I look at it that office we create, Marvin and Steve, between where the ball's going to be kicked and where we approach, that's our office, man. If we learn to control that area, say 4 yards by 3 yards, that's our office and that's our sacred sanctuary. And in life, if we don't let people knock us off that sense of purpose and direction and deep core values, life is going to be good. And the goalposts are the higher purpose. You do your daily discipline and you attack the ball, and then it's going to hopefully make it most of the time. Once in a while it won't, but trust it. And for the great majority, it's going through, and hopefully it's going through something that really matters. There's something that helps other people too.
Got two from the chat, and then we'll wrap it up and let you go, Nick. Anthony did ask as we were going over the Hall of Fame stuff. Who are your top 3 kickers in the NFL right now that you would trust to make a kick when it matters the most?
I wish I followed it so I knew and could really fairly say, but Harrison Butker is amazing, and Brandon Aubrey is really good. The Detroit kicker is really good. I can't think of his name right now. But there are probably about 5 or 6 guys that are really, really good. And the hard part of being a kicker is that the biggest kicks are in the playoffs, and the playoffs are always in the coldest, worst weather. A statistical group analyzed my career and said I was the most accurate kicker, not only with regular field goals, but in bad conditions. That is when it's freezing cold or less. And I'm really proud of that. So anyway, life is good. I'd say those guys, Harrison has got an amazing combination. If you look at all the game-winning field goals that put us in the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, Vinatieri, of course, was the first one to do that. And he certainly deserves to be in here. What a great guy, too. By the way, he was a pretty darn good athlete. I mean, I was not a good tackler in the open field, but I was okay at working some guys to the sidelines. One time, Eric Bieniemy, I mentioned earlier, our offensive coordinator, who was leading the returner up for the San Diego Chargers, and Eric was built, man. And I had to try to get him out of the way so we could tackle the returner. And I'm running towards the sidelines, and I realized with my flimsy shoulder pads and my single bar, I still had to hit him. So I hit him, and he just launched me about 5 yards in the air on the sidelines, and boom, and I cracked a rib, and air went out of my lungs. And Marty, who did not like to show a lot of affection for his teammates, for his players, but he ran over and he was worried. And I said, Marty cares, man. I knew it. But anyway, life is good. It's a amazing position, and it teaches you a lot of the key lessons. And then hopefully you apply those in life afterwards, with hard work and focus and something that matters.
And the last one, obviously, you were just talking about the stuff with your mom and all. And one of our avid listeners, Eddie, wanted to say that, more or less, it just, thank your mom and things like that. Obviously, he
Eddie, thank you. Yeah, let me just share something with you. So I'm one of the senior ambassadors for Project Max. If you look up projectmax.club, we have a bunch of NBA players. We have some world judo champions, and I've been recruiting. We have a number of NFL players that are dedicated through sport to end racism. We're working with historically black colleges. We're beginning to do that now. and anti-Semitism, hate, and intolerance, because sport can help us transcend politics and get to the real stuff, the core values. Look at what the World Cup just did for all these people in Europe that were fed this BS about America. And then they came here, they're like, America's a pretty darn good place. I mean, every country has its stuff to deal with, but when they compared, their experience in America to what they thought it was, they loved it. And sport has the magic to do that, bring people together, which is what we need.
You're absolutely right, because that's all I heard, Nick, after the World Cup had finished. It's just every fan from another country, they were just like, I was just blown away on how great the experience was, how great the people were, the food was awesome. They were just glowing about how great America was. As being, an American citizen for, my entire life, I love hearing stuff like that when people come to our country and enjoy, the culture inside of something that's a deep part of their culture. So I think overall the FIFA World Cup was an overall success, at least for us here in America, and hopefully we can have more experiences sharing each other's cultures in that way.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, just check out projectmax.club. I was just in Washington, D.C. with Eddie Curry, nice little 7'1", 340-pound former center with the Heat when they won the NBA championship, and guys like that are dedicated. We just did an event with Byron Scott in Miami with African Americans and Jews just coming together, and a lot of people want to do that work. Say we are all human beings, we're all flawed, but we also can do incredible things, and even more incredible when we come together like this.
Yeah, it definitely is, my friend. I know we're a little bit over our general time, Nick. What I typically do here at the end is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you, man. Anyone you would like to thank, shoot at your social media sites, any other charities that you work when you want to plug, the time is yours, my friend.
ProjectMax.club, then go to, please, to Nick Lowery Companion app. It's free, and you can download it, and it's got 5 questions. We're beginning to work with the military to see if we can get a baseline for them, so that every soldier, sailor, Marine, airman has something they can keep to themselves, but it keeps them positive. And then championsforthehomeless.org. We've done that for 20 years, 77 events, and we put a human face on the homeless in Phoenix in a way that most major cities haven't. And I'm very proud of that. And a lot of people that were retired have told me, on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, and in the summer, we just did one a couple of weeks ago. We called it Christmas in August. Gave away thousands of pairs of underwear and socks and shoes, chiropractors, haircuts, flowers, food, incredible music. But it's just to say, you matter. We see you. You do matter. Life is worth living. We love you. And that's the good stuff. So that's championsforthehomeless.org. And then Nick Lowery Companion app. And life is good. Thanks for asking.
Oh, it's definitely our pleasure, Nick. We love the interview. Love hearing the insights of your stuff, man. Always have an open door. You ever want to hop on, talk about whatever, just want to talk about football, want to talk about life, just let us know. We'll put away some time for you so you can have your voice, my friend.
Thanks, Marvin, and please tell Ben thanks too.
Yeah, I'll let him know. He had wifey's car got a flat. He had to go take care of that. So
boy, that's life for you.
And so
Hey,
let
Nick,
him go do his thing. Nick, appreciate your time, my friend.
Marvin, tell your dad hi.
Unfortunately,
tell him I got 3 words: Hall of Fame.
Hey, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, my father had passed away. Passed away at the age of 67, about 3 years ago now.
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely, man. Nick, I'm gonna get your information from Steve so that
I'll shoot you his email, not a problem.
Okay.
Listen, same thing
on my weekend,
Nick, if you want Marvin or Ben's email, so you guys can connect it outside of this and work together. I love to make sure you guys are connected.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Not a problem, Nick. Have a great one, my friend. All right, everyone. That was the one, the only hopefully another future Hall of Famer on this program, Nick Lowery. I think he only missed 6 extra points in his career. 6. So listen, as much as we pump your dad up, Marvin, Nick is another one of these guys that he should get in there. As I mentioned, there's only three place kickers in the NFL Hall of Fame. Nick should be one of them, in my opinion. I know obviously we're going to look biased here just having him on the program, but there needs to be more kickers. Nick's one of those guys. I think Gary Anderson, the kicker from San Diego, was it John Carney? I think he's another one that probably should be in the Hall of Fame. But like I said, that's, as we were talking about at the beginning of it, he's one of those guys that should be on that list of people who should already be there. So again, another great interview, great insight from Nick. I'm glad I reached out and had him on there. As always, the chat room was good today, and we had a couple different guys commenting in there, talking about the stuff that Nick's involved with. Eddie enjoyed the interview. Appreciated Eddie. Another fun one in the book. Obviously, Ben had some personal stuff to take care of, but another fun one, my friends. Obviously we're 21 minutes over where we normally are, but when you have a guy like Nick on, and you have you got the chats going crazy. Me, Ben, and Marvin are all trying to get all our questions. I still had a few more wanted to get to, but the time was well over where we were. I wanted to make sure I got to the chat, make sure Marvin was good and everything like that. What are your thoughts, man? You think a guy like Nick should be in the Hall of Fame? I know we might look biased in this situation, but there's only 3 place kickers in the Hall of Fame.
Let me say this to you. When I was doing the research and just preparing for the interview, I was blown away at his accomplishments. And for those of you who may remember him but don't really know, he listed it off. He told you when he retired where he stood in regards to NFL records. He absolutely has a legitimate case for the Hall of Fame. I understand that he retired some 25 years ago, not a little bit longer, but there have been other kickers since, but not many. And he has a legitimate case for the Hall of Fame. He's somebody who, if he gets into the Hall of Fame, knowing what I know about where he stands or where he stood when he retired, I mean, it would make sense. It does. It does. I mean, and there are a lot of guys like that, what I'm saying, who are kind of there.
He's a 2-time All-Pro. He's a 3-time a 3-time Pro Bowler. Yeah. On top of the stats that he already put out for you, man. Like, let's stop making these guys wait till they can't share the pleasures of the accomplishment they had with their family, with their teammates, etc. Like, we shouldn't be having these guys wait. And we talked about it earlier. There shouldn't be a Hall of Fame induction where you only have 3 or 5 guys getting in, regardless if it's the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, whatever. Like, we should be celebrating these guys like a lot of these guys, they're in Ring of Honors and one teams or multiple different teams. So it's one of these things where we shouldn't be having these conversations anymore. It should just be something that gets done. Hopefully, Nick is a guy that'll get in before too long. But being the fact that we only have 3 in there now he's got a tough road to climb. But like I said, he's missed only 6 extra points his entire career.
Unbelievable.
Great stuff. Great episode. Wrap this one up. I'm Steve. That's Marvin. Make sure you hit that QR code. Show some love on the YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. Other than that, we will see you guys next week, my friends. Peace on out.